Have you ever stopped and wondered what's really happening inside the pot when you're cooking? I mean, we think we're just heating up food, right? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and see how simple things like boiling, steaming, and frying are actually some seriously powerful chemical reactions. Let's get into the science behind the sizzle.
It all really comes down to a super simple question you've probably never thought to ask. You take one ingredient, a potato. You apply heat in two different ways, and you get two completely, totally different results. How does one end up soft and fluffy, and the other one golden and crispy? What in the world is going on at the molecular level? Well, here's the secret. It's not magic, not at all. It's actually just applied chemistry. Seriously, think of heat as pure energy. When you introduce that energy to your food, you're kicking off this amazing chain reaction, a cascade of physical and chemical changes that completely transform the proteins, the starches, and the fats inside.
Okay, so let's imagine our potato is standing at a crossroads, and it has a few different paths it can take. Path number one, total immersion. We're talking about the science of boiling. It's probably the most fundamental cooking method there is. The most important thing to know about this path is this number right here. At sea level, water boils at exactly 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 Celsius. And that's a hard limit. You can crank up the burner as high as it'll go, but the water itself won't get any hotter. That temperature ceiling basically dictates everything that's about to happen in that pot. So what's going on inside that bubbling water? Well, the heat is moving around super efficiently. For something like an egg, the heat makes its proteins unravel and then tangle up, turning from a liquid into a solid. That's coagulation. For our potato, its starches are sucking up water, swelling up like tiny sponges until they're soft and easy to digest. That's a process called gelatinization. Now, there is a downside. Because everything's swimming in water, some of those good water-soluble vitamins can actually leach out and get lost.
All right, let's look at path number 2. Instead of that total immersion, our potato could take a much gentler route, cooking with water vapor. In other words, steaming.
So the big difference here is that the food never actually touches the boiling water. It's being cooked by the hot, energized steam rising off the liquid. And because it's so much gentler and the food isn't submerged, it is fantastic at holding on to those nutrients we were just talking about. It's why steamed veggies look so bright and colorful, and why it's perfect for delicate things like fish. And that brings us to our third and final path, the one that gives us that irresistible golden brown crunch. We're talking about the fiery finish of frying. And this, my friends, is where the chemistry gets really exciting. Just look at that temperature jump. Frying oil gets way, way hotter than boiling water. We're talking 350 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. That intense high heat is the catalyst for a whole different universe of chemical reactions. Which brings us to the king of all cooking reactions, the Maillard reaction. Now, this isn't just browning. This is a super complex reaction between amino acids and sugars that can only happen at these really high dry temperatures. It's responsible for creating hundreds of new, amazing flavor and aroma compounds. People mix it up with caramelization all the time, but that's just browning sugar. The Maillard reaction is way more complex, and it's the beautiful science behind the taste of a French fry, a seared steak, or even a perfect piece of toast. So you see, once you understand these 3 different chemical pathways, choosing a cooking method isn't just random. It becomes a really deliberate, scientific decision. You're not just picking how to cook, you're picking the chemical reaction you want to create. And really, the whole decision boils down to this fundamental trade-off. What's your goal? Are you going for tenderness and keeping the food's natural flavor and nutrients? Or are you chasing that deep, complex, crispy texture that you can only get from those high-heat reactions? Think of this as your cheat sheet. When you're standing in front of the stove, this is the choice you're making. Boiling is going to give you soft and moist, but you might lose some nutrients. Steaming, that's your champion for preservation. You get a tender, vibrant result with very little nutrient loss and a super clean flavor. And frying? Well, frying uses that high-heat oil to give you that incredible, crispy finish and intense flavor, but it can come at the cost of some of those nutrients. So the next time you walk into your kitchen, I want you to try and see it a little differently. It's not just a place to make dinner. It's a laboratory. And every single meal you make is a brand new experiment in applied chemistry. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that heat is the engine. It's the catalyst for all this change. The method you choose, water, steam, or oil, is what's in the driver's seat, determining the final chemical outcome.
You're literally manipulating molecules, telling proteins to denature, starches to gelatinize, and, if you get the conditions just right, kicking off that incredible Maillard reaction.
So now you know the fundamental principles. You are the chemist in your own lab. The only question left is, armed with all this new knowledge, what delicious experiment are you going to create next?